dudes. We need to, let's, now, we've, 5 containers. Get all these containers, Oh, we got a ship, the Hornet. A freebie, the U.S. Hornet. Our aircraft carrier. Another free ship. Last one. We got 2 ships out there. So we got the Hornet. Let me go to here. There we go. Now, let's reset them. We got the U.S. Hornet. Yes, we did that one. With a level 10 captain in it. That is a tier 8 ship. Well, that was nice. Reset them. And that one, it was this. We got this. Oh Lord, we got a submarine. Huh. So we got 2 ships here we can get oh. Got a submarine, I'll be damned. Now, two days. Got 2 days till that one. I like to to get those. Well, I bet, man. I'm with 2 ships. I'm not going to complain. Got the U.S. Hornet and a Pan Asian submarine, so that's nice. And 60-year-old Dina Vasquez Jalamingo Filipino Pepper Popper. Huh? Where at? Yeah, I'm trying to, you know. Let's see here. What you got here? Say what?
It's been 2 years since that disaster struck. The city's population is now sparse. In an effort to escape the monsters, you found a grounded nuclear submarine, which is a perfect spot to convert into...
Good morning, everyone.
For the second day in a row, Ontario Premier Doug Ford reiterated his threat to cut off energy supply to the U.S. in retaliation to Donald Trump's proposed tariffs.
You come and attack Ontario, you attack livelihoods of people of Ontario and Canadians. We're going to use every tool in our toolbox to defend Ontarians and Canadians across the border.
Trump responded to Ford's threat today, saying this.
Well, that's okay if he does that, that's fine, but the United States is subsidizing Canada. It's truly a subsidy, and we shouldn't have to do that.
And other provinces seem unwilling to withhold their energy from U.S. markets.
From the Alberta perspective, under no circumstances will Alberta agree to cut off oil and gas exports.
By the way, I won't threat Donald not to send electricity.
The disagreement between provinces goes even deeper. Last night, Premier Ford said he is
Canadians better watch fucking with Donald Trump.
But a go cited with Trump last week in Paris.
And he told me very clearly that we can avoid those tariffs if we do what needs to be done with the borders.
Which is the focus of a new announcement from Alberta Premier Danielle Smith today. A team of specially trained Alberta sheriffs that will patrol the border, more than 50 officers, K9 teams, and cold weather surveillance drones to stop illegal cross-border activity.
If we succeed and maintain proper border security, I expect we will have a very strong relationship with the United States, as we always have.
Ottawa is said to have presented a plan to strengthen the border during yesterday's meeting with the premiers, a plan that is expected to be presented publicly in the coming days. Marcia?
Jeremy, thanks.
I would advise Canada to quit letting migrants cross the border into the U.S. Or they're after O'Brien Johnson again. Listen to this, O'Brien Johnson.
I thank you so much for this opportunity to share my thoughts.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker this morning is Zoe Lee.
I, and state your name.
I, Brandon Johnson.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
And the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
For nearly 2 years, the City of Chicago has refused to resolve a case that blatantly violates the 5th and 14th Amendment. Instead, they have continued to commit federal law violations and support fraudulent documents filed by City of Chicago attorney Bradley Wilson. Ironically, the city is prioritizing settling cases against the police, even in instances where individuals shot at officers first, while disregarding clear constitutional and legal breaches in this matter. Democrats love to accuse Trump and Republicans of corruption and constitutional violations. Yet, under their leadership in Chicago, black families like mine face the same abuses, constitutional rights ignored, fraudulent actions covered up, and public corruption left unchecked. Mayor Brandon Johnson, you took an oath to uphold the Constitution. Or when you took an oath, was it only intended to fight for the 10th and 14th Amendments regarding illegal aliens? You're paying for votes to pass the budget. Everything about this body and administration is unconstitutional. I keep coming here. You know I've been coming here for 2 years. I don't have to tell you about my case anymore because you know about my case. Mary Richardson Laura, you know about my case too. And you also took an oath. All of y'all took an oath. Y'all are straight violating the U.S. Constitution. But y'all sit and talk about how Trump is so unconstitutional and how he's going to overturn the government and he's going to do all this. But I've been coming here for 2 years with the Democratic Party. This ain't Trump. This ain't Matt Gaetz. We come from the federal level to the state level. The Governor Pritzker, to Attorney Raoul that we cannot find, who's the Attorney General. To you guys fighting for some illegal aliens who haven't put a dime in this country when my mother has a building that the City of Chicago Buildings Department demolished because this disgrace alderman over there, 17th Ward David Moore, didn't do his duty as an alderman. This falls on you. It falls on you. You're the mayor this time. What was the purpose of you raising your right hand? What was the purpose of that? That's crazy. You are in violation of the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, the law of the land, the supreme law of the land. That's crazy.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is Jessica Jackson.
This is heavy. It's warm, loads pockets. I'm impressed with it. This is the Baskin tactical hoodie.
Thousands of men around the world already love wearing.
Now, before you get offended and try to stop me from saying what I'm going to say, you're a biblical person, so you say, just like I am. The Bible speaks of stupidity. The Bible says that the children of Israel were a stupid, stubborn, stiff-necked people. That was the reason why they couldn't get out the wilderness. The stupidity of this administration. The stupidity of this administration to think that we don't know any better than to know that you all are going to pass that budget with all those tax increases. The stupidity to think that we don't know that you all could have corrected this stuff a long time ago. The stupidity to think that you all could come with this type of cut, this type of recommendation, and not come with the true accounting of how much money was spent on these illegals. You all have yet to be transparent with that. That's the biggest financial downfall of the city. Yet, there has not been any type of audit, any type of financial accounting for illegal immigration. It is stupidity of this administration to think that we did not know the other day at the budget meeting when they had the law department here, that key members of the law department that sit in here every day, like that Levine, like that other one with the glasses, to think, Mary Richardson, Lori, that you really could make us try to think that the city and the county are so different, so separate, that they don't intertwine with one another, especially when it comes to public corruption. For you to insult people like that. For you all to think that we believe that you did an 800 survey of voters that made you all step back and look at what you were voting on when we stood at this mic. And I told you that if you voted wrong for money, we was coming for them seats. That's where it came from. Not from no fake 800 people. So now, we're going to continue with what we started. Make you famous Friday. Until you all get it through your thick head that we not playing. Afro Elite pulled the name yesterday for Michelle Harris. And she can sit there and rock like she don't hear it, but everybody knows when you hear your name, it triggers something inside of you. Tune in, 6 o'clock on Zoe Lee. L-E-I-G-H. YouTube. We're going to make you famous, Alderwoman Michelle Harris.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is Osiris King.
Go Red. Go Red. Chicago Red. Good morning, Mayor Brandon Johnson. This is my first time seeing you in person. It's really cool and just not seeing it through the news. My name is Osiris. I'm a young 26-year-old man here in Chicago. And I remember when my elementary school in the area that I live in, the Wadsworth Elementary School, was turned into a migrant shelter. And I remember how Democrats talked to us like we were stupid. You need help. The immigrants need help. Y'all gotta work together. They live in poverty. This is something that you have to accept. And they talked to us like we were 5 years old. But y'all wanna talk about Republicans belittling black people and talking to them like they're stupid? I felt like I was 3 years old, like, okay, like I don't know where Venezuela is on a map. Half of the people who support these migrants probably couldn't point to Venezuela on a map, but a lot of folks are probably wondering, what is this young black kid or young black man doing wearing this hard hat in City Hall today? Well, let me tell you, growing up, my favorite show was Bob the Builder. He wore a very funny yellow hat. This hat is a symbol of Bob the Builder building the wall, building it tall around America, around Chicago. We don't want illegals in our community. We don't want migrants terrorizing our own people. And to have y'all sit up here and say, we have to accept $70 million being given to them when you got black people who are already struggling and need help, it is a disgrace. It is a disgrace. And this election of Donald Trump represents something that is just more than him winning. This is the end of vote blue no matter who. This is the end of they black, you gotta vote for them. This is the end of Democrats saying lesser than two evils. They did that with Hillary. They did that with Biden. They did that with Kamala. It didn't work this time. People are sick and tired because nowadays you got to get your hands dirty. You got to come down and talk to the people. You got to give a little to get a little. Black people are not falling for the okie doke. A long time ago, y'all would say, black people jump. We say how high? They say stoop down. We say how low? They say go vote Democrat. We would run faster than you saying votes to get to the ballot box. But this is the end. And must I also say, people talk about Mayor Brandon Johnson, but he is just a microcosm of the problem in the Democrat Party. I want to talk to Democrats on a national stage. You've got in New York City, Black Lives Matter being very upset, and that's fine, but also be very upset about what's going on in Chicago with these black people being terrorized by the migrants, the illegal immigrants, and no one can say anything about it. It's not fair. So at the end of the day, with the time I got left, I want people to think about who really has the power. Democrats think they have the power. Obama, who was an abomination to this entire nation, thinks he got the power. Hillary Clinton and Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi think they got the power. They think they can bully us and we got to stand silent. But people in America everywhere know that we got the power. And we got Donald.
Thank you very much for your comment.
Waiting instructions.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is More Real News.
Enemy force sighted on the
Our next speaker is More Real News.
Most people have no clue that in 2024, the best way to make money with Amazon is not by selling physical.
Y'all like my blue shoes? They hurt.
Torpedoes to starboard.
But that's all you Democrats been giving us pain. I came down here a little bit at the same time.
Critical engine damage.
Jackson. And I've been homeless. My child and I have been on the street. We actually slept in a car on Thanksgiving because some bogus stuff with the Democrats won't get us in the apartment when the landlord signed the lease on the 22nd. But exactly, they can get the illegals in. You can get them in, you can get them in, Brandon, can you? You can give everything to them, even though I gave you information on how to shelter feed our people, etc. But y'all can build these nice shelters and put them in these nice hotels, you know. But you know, I got a little stability now. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna be speaking a little different and a little better. I ain't gonna cuss you out like they told me not to. I ain't gonna get you. I ain't gonna get you. Cause I'm not fake here. It's just that I'm a real man and a real father. So I feel the different hurt than they used to.
Hull breach.
And that makeup ain't for him. I'm trying to say for him, that's for his wife. You know what I'm saying? I'm nasty. My wife is nasty. It's real. I ain't faking. I ain't faking and saying, excuse me, I'm not faking and saying who I am. I tell them all the time I'm more than that. Whether who like it or not, I stand on that. I ain't faking like Miss Clay, Islam, and more and things
Problem
like
solved,
that.
sir.
You ain't even got a bay on your name. Stop faking. I ain't faking like Jeanette Taylor. Claiming, oh, we for the people, and then vote something different against the people. And I'm running for alderman in that ward, in the 20th ward. And I'm standing on that 20th for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So the streets know what I'm talking about. I'm running for that ward.
The ship is on fire.
A real man, a real person for the community. A real person that y'all know came for nothing. I've been down here, came for nothing. From the ground floor, even when we was homeless, I still dressed nice and represented as a man, and as a father, and as a leader. And also prophesied things down here. And as well as my comrades.
Bullseye.
We prophesied those reds. We prophesied we gonna get something up in here. That red look nice on you, Miss Coleman. You always look like a stripper, but anyway, we gonna get you.
That's it. Shut his mic off. Your time is up, sir.
Excuse me.
You will not insult people on this floor. Your time is up.
Excuse me.
Back, please.
Speakers are reminded that people of all ages are listening to public comments, and we ask that you please refrain from personal attacks and using profanity. Thank you very much.
If you continue to have an outburst, I would ask you to be removed. Now we've taken your time. You can please.
Damn.
Continue.
Our next speaker is.
Well, them people in Chicago made Brandon Johnson, ain't it?
DIY. And there's doing it yourself.
Oh man, what the hell they expect her? They're dead damn god awful. And then they think that they're not mad and they're not going to cuss them and shit, man. I mean, my God. Have you been listening to this on the stream here? I didn't know that they'd had council meetings and that they'd been going in talking to them like that. And they should. They really should. They're not. They're just telling them the truth. The Democrats are out running around hollering, it's Donald Trump, and all this bullshit. And it's not. It's their lack of, they're going to do it with, Democrats are not dumb. They know there's not an American citizen going to vote for them anymore. So they're trying to push this as hard as they can so they'll have somebody to vote for them. Come January the 20th, when Donald Trump is inaugurated, they're going to kick him out. And he's done said he'll put Brandon Johnson's ass in jail if that's what it takes. All of them that plan on coming and bucking against him, like Canada and their bullshit of not wanting Trump flat out told them he'd put tariffs against them if they did not want to secure the Canadian border. They acted like they wasn't going to do it. He's setting in motion to implement his tariffs on them. So he's not bullshitting around. I mean, these Democrats better open their eyes up and realize in these countries as well that the United States is not going to take this bullshit anymore. They have come out fighting, and it's not going to be pretty. Mexico was talking a tough talk till Trump started said straight out, I'll put 200% tariffs on you. We'll just stop trade with Mexico and Canada. Okay, now you got Canada saying that they're not going to let the U.S. have any energy. That's fine and dandy. We'll be energy independent within a few months of Trump's presidency anyway. So yeah, we can handle it. We got enough we have enough in reserves to make it that long. So we're good to go. You know, there's one thing about it. We are prepared for this. The resources and everything is there. We are prepared for this. So if you think that this is going to be another 4 years of whoop-dee-doo, we'll just impeach him and bullshit, that's where you're sadly wrong. It's not going to be. You're about to see the United States come out on a global level that, hey dudes, do you think we like that China is pumping drugs through Canada and Mexico into the U.S., killing our people? Hell no, we don't. Do you think we're not going to stop it? Because we are. Whether it means wars or not. So this time here, if you'll notice, this time here Trump has now said he won't take us to war. I think he realizes he's going to have to. I'll predict this right here and now. Within the next 2 years, the United States will be at war with China. That's my prediction. Within the next 2 years, the United States will have went to war with China. No doubt in my mind. All the marks are there. It is going to happen. The United States is going to go to war with China, and we can't stop it because China will not stop. They are pumping drugs into our country, and absolutely I'll support a war against them, knowing that it's going to stop all this bullshit of watching these poor people laying on the sidewalks overdosed for countries that want to see us burn, want to see that happen. Hell no, it's time it stops. But I blame more than just these. I blame the whole Democrat Party. Period. I blame the Democrats and their lust for war and money. You look at the warfare that has been played on Donald Trump in the past 4 years. I mean, honestly, he has been indicted over 147 times. He has been impeached 4 times. He has had his homes raided by the federal government. And then you got enough nerve to say he's a threat to democracy? And all because he's running for president. Who in this is really the threat to democracy? Really? When you have a president, a sitting president, and I'm talking about Biden, that is absolutely weaponized the DOJ and went after Donald Trump. Not once. Oh, God forbid, once. He has did it on levels that is just pathetic. I mean, seriously pathetic that they went after Trump the way they have. And then, then you'll say, well, people say, well, man, I don't like the way they're doing him. They'll say, well, no, don't worry about it. As long as your name ain't Donald Trump, you really don't got anything to worry about. No, as long as you've not going to fuck with their agenda, you don't have anything to worry about it. Other than that, you honestly do. Joe Biden's openly called the American people, the Republicans, called them trash. Trash, man. He has openly called us trash. And we supposed to just sit back and let this shit happen, bros. I mean, my God, dudes, open your eyes up. Seriously, open your eyes, man. Let's not make this 4 more years of bullshit when in all fairness, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't. All this can be settled out relatively quick. That they can put a stop to all this. That they can and should put a stop to every damn bit of this. That they are going to have to do something. And whether people like it or not, it's gotta be. It does. Man, these people are honestly, they're going above and beyond. Isn't it bad enough that they lost an election, a landslide, and they try to downplay that and say, no, it wasn't that bad. Yeah, man, it was that bad. You got the black people straight out saying, we're not going to vote for you anymore. You got the Mexicans, Spanish, all the countries that live here in the U.S., all of them saying it's citizens saying, we're not going to vote for you anymore. And you keep pushing the agenda that you lost the election for. I mean, I don't know who's running the DNC, but whoever the hell it is, they need to get rid of them. But because you're losing. Going to be a bunch of bullshit that ends up taking us to war. Honestly, going to end up a bunch of bullshit that ends up taking us to war when this stuff can be handled the way that Trump's trying to handle it. And these idiots that these Democrats has voted in Chicago, New York, California, Colorado, voted these idiots in that's got little enough sense to say that they're going to fight the federal government on something that is in the Constitution and that they're totally in the wrong of. They can be jailed over, and that and now they're trying to implement laws to bring in, as Trump's been inaugurated, to try to stop him. And there's a better question. Why? Why? Why are you willing to burn your party to the ground of something that is illegal? But you're willing to burn your Democratic Party to the ground for it. Why would you ever do that or want that? I mean, in all honesty, does not make one bit of sense of why you would ever burn your party to the ground, and knowing damn good and well it's against the Constitution, it's against state and federal laws what you're trying to do. He's been selling the border wall. They have been out selling the border wall. That's just more money that the American people is going to have to pay to replace it. Because it is going up. American people we demand it. It's a shame that a political party would be that out of touch with their constituents. That they're going to council meetings telling them they're going to put their seats up for new people. It's just 2 years, dudes. He has the Senate and the Congress. He's got them. Not a big majority, but he does have them. And the Republicans are falling into rank and line about this, because they do realize if they don't do something that the American people want, that they're not going to be able to. They're not going to hold office either. this ex-United Healthcare employee blows a whistle, forced to deny claims. I don't know what's going on about that. That Luigi, Mario, whatever his name is, or he's, I always figured he was just paid. There wasn't no hate about it. He was just a paid killer. Somebody is funding him. Probably a board member. But Corey Miller lights and Anthony Blinken. That'd be one worth watching.
It's absolutely insane. Look at the presentation on what's inside this can. All other canned tuna brands should be shaking in their boots. This is natural catch yellowfin in organic extra virgin olive oil, and it's like sushi grade quality tuna that's served at a Michelin star sushi restaurant. All their cans are like this.
Actually went overseas and was conducting rescues of Americans left behind in Afghanistan. I actually conducted the very first successful overland rescue of Americans that were left behind, which was Miriam and
another one of Biden's.
These are Amarillo, Texas, American-born natives who was at the front gate waving their passport, trying to get inside, while we were on the phone, myself and Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, trying to get your State Department task force.
Hey, Anthony Blinken's who he's addressing.
You're telling me you didn't leave them behind?
I'm telling you, Congressman, that we got every American out that we could, and when we got completed the evacuation, I said we're not leaving anyone behind. We're to keep doing this until we get every American who says they want to leave and identify themselves to us out. And as I
you also said, though, that I'm reclaiming my time. You also told Congressman Davidson that the U.S. government was not blocking aircraft. Is that correct?
I have no knowledge of the U.S. government.
Yet my aircraft, who had 5 approved PPRs, which are prior permission required landings, to HKIA to rescue 28 Americans, was denied 5 times, saying that it was at the behest of the Department of Defense and the Department of State to prevent us from coming in to rescue Americans. That was what was told to us over the radio from the ATC towers. But yet, to your knowledge, no one was being blocked. Let me tell you, that is a farce and it's a complete lie. I will also tell you that in a NEO, State Department does not take ultimate control once it is declared. It's the Department of Defense who actually is supposed to, yet your task force still try to hold operational control, which led to a lot of disruption, and that has been reported multiple times by commanders on the ground. So I will tell you, I'm going to finish, sir. The other thing is that in Israel, a horrible incident occurred where over 1,200 people lost their lives. And yet the State Department had done nothing to come in and actually rescue Americans who had been left behind. How do I know that? Because the very first rescues conducted was on October 11th from Nazareth, Tiberias, and Haifa. How do I know it? Because I was the one who conducted them. 32 Americans that day, then into the West Bank, then into Jerusalem, then out towards Gaza. I got 255 Americans out by myself before the State Department lifted a finger and did anything to bring a plane in. Meanwhile, other nations were already flying aircraft in and out, rescuing their citizens. Again, another failure of 22 USC 4802.
Not correct.
I will also, it is correct, and the reason I know it's because I was there. Were you there, sir?
I had an
Were you there,
entire
sir?
embassy there.
You were not. Let's go ahead and start with that.
There, and I've been there 12 times.
Yeah, how many Americans did you rescue, sir?
We've gotten
how
many
many
Americans
did you
out.
personally rescue, sir? None, correct? So don't try and talk to me about ground truth. You couldn't even control what was happening in Afghanistan. Let's start there. The next thing I want to talk about is under your leadership, we have allowed Iran, the regime, to grow stronger than it's ever in its life. I'll give you some facts here. The Energy Information Agency said that Iran petroleum exports in Iran sold $144 billion in the first 3 years of your administration. Now, why is that number important? Well, because that is $100 billion more than what was permitted in the full 2 years of the Trump administration. You talked about we had to go forward with the Doha agreement, but that was part of the, even though it was a conditions-based agreement, you couldn't prevent from pulling out of that. But you had no problem pulling out of Remain in Mexico. That's led to an increase in sex trafficking, fentanyl deaths, and illegal migrants. More angel families than ever. You had no problem, but again, you can't pull out of it, and trying to delist the Houthi rebels from a terrorist organization that now has resulted in 12% of global trade through the Red Sea being disrupted. Do you agree that delisting the Houthis as a terrorist organization was a good play?
In terms of making sure that humanitarian assistance could get to the people of Yemen and that the Houthis were designated under multiple other
So
authorities,
endangering American citizens while now that they're getting increased attacks as a result of your actual failures. And I can tell you with absolute clarity, sir, reclaiming my time, I can tell you with absolute clarity that Hezbollah got stronger while you were in office. Hamas was funded because of your failures to be able to impose necessary sanctions so that the Iranian regime couldn't continue to fund. I'm still talking, Mr. Secretary. You've had your time. You've had 4 years to destroy this nation. You and this administration. I will tell you with absolute certainty, sir, that America is better off with you not in office. That the Iranian regime will now finally start to weaken with stronger sanctions and with us being able to do our jobs for the Iranian people who are actually trying to lead a free democracy. I can tell you that Hezbollah, Hamas's leadership under Sinwar would not have been eliminated if they would have listened to Israel to what Biden had advised, which is ceasefire and stop. Hassan Nasrallah of Hezbollah would not have been eliminated if they would have listened to your leadership. And I can tell you right now that we are better off as a nation, we are safer as a nation, and our American citizens will be safer with you not sitting in that seat. With that, I yield back.
Mr. Costa is recognized.
I wish you very good luck.
Mr. Costa is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I, first of all, like others, want to acknowledge the Gold Star mothers and families.
A hot and steamy au jus is the king of dips. It enhances the flavor of everything. Roast beef, onions, cheese. I would dip everything in au jus if I could. Everything. Firefighter approved. And if you want some savings...
Oh my God, man.
Ship is on fire.
Beggars. About took us out again. That's alright. Yeah, took us out. Even better. Wonder why I don't even play these anymore. It's because of the bullshit.
But you know, the league still lost like $40
This
million.
is good right here.
Why is that? If I hear you use the phrase "my truth" or "your truth," there's just the truth. I feel a little bad for her because she's going to learn that it will never be enough.
Sure, we hear that thoughts on Caitlin Clark saying she wants to use her platform for black women in the WNBA. Okay.
Okay, so this is a story that's been developing over the past week where Caitlin Clark won Athlete of the Year for Time magazine. In the course of doing that, she claimed that she has white privilege and it's on her to support the black women who built the WNBA. Now, this brings us to today's video where Scott Jennings wipes the floor with Carrie Champion because it turned into a heated debate about Caitlin Clark's comments.
Why is she being bullied?
Why is that wrong?
Why is she being bullied for acknowledging something that's smart, truth, and factual?
Well, a couple things. Number one, whether you're an athlete or anyone else, if I hear you use the phrase "my truth," I immediately then discount everything else you say because there isn't my truth or your truth. There's just the truth. And when you start using phrases like that, it tells me that
That's not true.
Your brain has been captured by something that I don't really respect.
That's not true.
Number two.
That's not true.
Number two. The attention the league got this year was amazing, and it was all because of her. She is an amazing player. The arenas were full when she played in them. The TV ratings were up when she was on television. That's undeniable. But the league still lost like $40 million this year. And it's never made money. And to me, when you're talking about having respecting people who built something, what did they build? A league that loses money every year? She has the capacity.
What do you mean?
To
What did they build? What do you mean? What did they build?
What kind of a business did they build?
The reason why it's still up and still running, whether it's losing money or not, is because of these black women who are in this.
Now, that's where Carrie Champion went wrong. with her statement that it was the black women who built the WNBA. Technically, it's the owners of the NBA teams who actually built the league, because without them, the WNBA couldn't exist, right? The NBA funds the WNBA. This leads me to my second point about the WNBA. The problem with them is they live off subsidies. So they're never actually in a position where they're forced to make money in order to survive. And third, this is why when Caitlin Clark came out and said she has white privilege and she has to support these black women who built the WNBA, it's just misplaced, because that's not actually the financial truth of that business.
And
Right.
Scott, stop it. You stop it now.
It's not. I was in Dickie's arena.
Who pays for it?
I was in Dickie's arena. Let me just tell you.
It says more about the people who are getting offended by it than her.
I think they're just disappointed that she appears to have been captured by the woke mob.
You don't like the word.
And here's the disappointment.
It's the white privilege. Hold on, let him articulate this, because I want to learn something.
I feel a little bad for her, because she's going to learn. That it will never be enough. No matter how much of the phrasing, no matter how much of the groveling you do, it will never be enough for the people in that league that hate her guts. Why do you
assume? Now, that's why we all love Scott Jennings, because he just tells it like it is. And that is so true about Caitlin Clark. The reason why people love her and respect her is because of merit. She's truly talented, potentially a one-in-a-generation type player for the WNBA. That's why people watch her. They don't watch her because she's white. They don't watch her because she believes she has white privilege. They watch her based on merit. And while she's over here focused on social justice issues, thinking that's going to help her
my athletes don't know how to leave that shit alone, do they, man? I mean, they'll get doing good and stuff, man.
We know that's not going to happen, because these WNBA players operate from a place of lack. It's never going to be enough. And let me show you a prime example of that. Here's Cheryl Swoop's reaction to what Caitlin did.
They always go woke.
Every single thing as a white
pissed
person.
her careers away.
She goes on to talk about the ocean.
I'm woke. I'm woke. I got an agenda. It's to destroy the white man. White man's bad. They worship the orange man.
Thoughts on Caitlin Clark saying she wants to use her platform to elevate black women in the WNBA have been instrumental, obviously, in building that league to what it is.
Do you worship the white man? Get on your knees, girl.
Now, that's funny, because this is the same individuals that claim that it's white people holding the league down. It's misogyny, it's racism, because it's a female league, people treat it differently, it's second rate. Yeah, but look how you treat each other. So you want people to give the league respect, but you don't even give respect to your own people. Make that make sense.
They hate her guts.
Why do you assume
they do not?
If they could make that make sense of Scott Jennings, they wouldn't have to have you tell them, would they?
The one place where nobody on the field has any privilege at all. She doesn't get extra points when she shoots because she's white. She gets the same number of points as anybody else. Sports is the great equalizer, and it just felt like to a lot of people that she was groveling for no reason, because she is an amazing player who deserves all the accolades she's getting right now for doing what she's doing for women's basketball.
And she's pissing her career away.
Scott Jennings was saying about how sports is the
she has, she's getting recognized for her own merits. She's saying, well, we got to read about this and make them respect the black women that played in it. Well, that's not the case. She should keep her mouth shut and keep playing ball.
That are signed with TV networks, the sponsors.
That's why a lot of people anymore doesn't get into sports, period. They've made this big woke agenda about it, and it's never about like it used to be, like you could watch a ball game. It was the ball game. You were like if North Carolina was going to beat South Carolina, or WVU was going to win a playoff, or now it's they're losing nationally, but they're all for the right agendas,
Caitlin Clark Angel Reese, number 1, and number 2 in jersey sales this particular year. We're looking at merchandise sales overall up to
End of the day, it's all about
600%.
money.
My goodness gracious. Of course, if you're like me,
It's all about money.
donning a WNBA
It's
jersey,
not
maybe
what it
time
used
ago
to be. It used to
in
be.
person, so you're watching it.
People want
Well,
to
there are a lot more folks watching on television.
wanted to.
So let's take a look at those WNBA ratings. We're talking about the highest salary. My goodness gracious. In nationally televised games, overall, we're talking 657,000 folks tuning in on average. A big component of that is Caitlin Clark. She has star power, drawing power. Look at how many folks tuned into Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever on average. We're talking about 1.2 million. That is
Caitlin Clark is a good ball player. She really is. I mean,
Now those numbers are definitely historic,
and you can't take that from her.
Seems to be good news.
But if they keep doing this bullshit they're doing,
even if the WNBA signs better media contracts,
she's gonna be another LeBron James or one of those. She's got the greatness to be a
significant amount of money from their revenue to pay back what it costs to run the business.
Michael Jordan or one of those guys, but now that the rate they're going, you know,
$50 million, even though their revenue was $200 million. So it's not social justice. This is just pure business 101. If the business model does not work. And the irony of all of this, she clearly makes more money than everybody in the WNBA just through sponsorships alone. And the WNBA players should be happy about that because that means she is setting the market. But don't tell this WNBA owner because she doesn't get it.
It has taken the WNBA almost 28 years to get to the point where we are now. And this year, something clicked with the WNBA, and it's because of the draft of the players that came in. It's just not Caitlin Clark. It's Reese. We have so much talent out there that has been unrecognized. And I don't think we can just pin it on one player.
They're never going to be able to make the money the NBA does, you know. I mean, let's be honest. But nonetheless, they do. It's doing better than it did. And if they leave it alone, man, I wouldn't do this woke bullshit. Our country, man, has just went terrible when it comes to being woke. Go woke, go broke.
That are equally as talented, and they never got the recognition that they should have. And I think right now, it is time for that to happen.
I mean, really.
Last night, we read Time Magazine.
It's go woke, go broke, all this bullshit. And they just need to stop, man. I mean, movies. Hollywood has suffered so bad over this woke movement that it's terrible.
All the talent.
So Miss Johnson,
I mean, Oliver and the best actors refuse to go woke and stuff.
She is carrying the case and the whole social justice movement. She's
and they're trying to silence them.
Now I assume behind closed doors, she doesn't really believe in any of that. She'll never be the League of the Year because number one, they lost money. Number two, maybe you had 3 top talented players from the WNBA draft that are bringing in a bunch of the ratings. Sure, but what about the NFL? What about the NBA? What about the UFC? There's so much talent to go around. Here's the other claim about, well, you know, the media never wanted to actually give attention to black WNBA players because they're racist. Okay, then why was Michael Jordan a thing? Why was Tiger Woods a thing? Why has LeBron James been a thing? Kobe Bryant been a thing? I mean,
everybody like Kobe Bryant,
most
man.
of these today are dominated by black people who are getting paid millions of dollars, more money than anybody who's come before them. So make it make sense.
They can't make it make sense, DeVory. They truly can't.
Doctor visits.
I mean,
they running strong.
Keep saying this agenda nobody wants.
Prescriptions to give you peace of mind. 4 out of 5 customers can find a health plan for
I mean, no one honestly wants anything to do with their agenda.
To explore plans from the brands you know. New law, lower prices. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Enroll by December 15th.
Oh, let's try to get over here behind this one. That's the sad thing of it, man. Nobody's wanting this shit,
XM is your home for
and they're trying to get away from it, and people are even getting even worse about it, you know.
Download the SiriusXM app and get 30 days free. See all for details.
Torpedoes, direct front.
Because when you just keep singling out one player, it creates hard feelings. And so now you're starting to hear stories of racism within the WNBA, and I don't want to hear that. We have got to
ain't no racism. We don't live in 1863 no more, dudes.
And their talents.
You mentioned Time Magazine.
Yes.
And Caitlin Clark has
Oh shit, we're going down, bros. We're going down.
Of using that moment to say we need to celebrate the black players in the WNBA and
that
what
was
they
going to happen.
have done, and credits them for being so much the foundation of the success of the league. How important?
I'm more worried about the veterans than that than I am these athletes that get paid millions of dollars. That they're not war heroes. They're not anything. They're common people with a talent, with a basketball, baseball, whatever. And then you got these people. God bless our veterans that went off fit in foreign countries for us, that are true patriots, and these guys can't respect that. They'll take a knee, bro. They'll take a knee before they'll stand a salute the man and women that made this country the free country that is, that they can get paid and do the crap they're doing, and it's sad, man. That's why I don't endorse sports. Don't watch them. Honestly, don't. I feel it's a waste of time. Truly do. Feel that there's so much more things I could do than to sit and watch some $2 million, $5 million a year athlete sit and tell me how I should feel about shit, when half of them don't even know whether to shit or go blind probably. It's sad times up in this joint, bros. It truly is. That we got people that are so damn retarded that they can't even see past their damn nose. We got educated people in this country. That common sense is a killer to them. Be right back, bros. let's see what else we can find to sit and go irate. Have us on black culture exposed. Right there is one of the hottest subjects.
This portable
Period.
warm air blaster will be in every
Right
home in
now,
America
because
by
he's getting ready to
Can heat
pardon
a
them.
900 square foot room from 50
I think he
degrees Fahrenheit
should.
to 73 degrees.
And welcome back here to Live.
I think if you went there, you was protesting peacefully and stuff, you didn't commit no crimes, you shouldn't be in jail over it, you know. But just
Now from
one more touch on it.
Craft. Live Now look there at the U.S. Capitol. Well, almost 5 years to the day of the January 6th Capitol riot, 4 years rather. We're getting a new report in from the Inspector General there at the Department of Justice about the FBI's role. The IG, his name, Michael Horowitz, he said there were more than 24 confidential human sources in the crowd on January 6th, but only 3 were assigned by the FBI to be present for the event, while stressing that none of the sources was authorized or directed by the Bureau to quote-unquote break the law or encourage others to commit illegal acts. Horowitz today releasing his highly anticipated report on the FBI's handling of its confidential human sources and intelligence collection efforts in the lead-up to the January 6th electoral certification and the subsequent Capitol riot here.
I don't know,
Our friend
babe.
there, Fox News correspondent at the Justice Department, David Spunt, has this report. Let's watch.
I mean, up until now they wouldn't even say they had human sources in it.
Undercover FBI agents present on scene.
That's what they
However,
said.
26 confidential human sources or government informants were in the crowd. Only 3 of them were asked by the FBI to be there. 23 others came on their own. Confidential human sources are not undercover agents.
Don't believe
They are
that.
paid informants who already belonged to groups under law enforcement scrutiny, like the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers. Out of the 3 asked to be there by the Bureau, 1 entered the Capitol and 2 others entered a restricted area, the report said.
Now those are the ones that.
FBI sources were authorized to enter the Capitol.
Now those were the guys that started all the hubbub
The
there.
law on January 6th. Outgoing FBI Director Christopher
Wasn't just everyday people. That's a fact. It's a fact. That's why they dropped that and burnt deleted the evidence.
Not violence orchestrated by FBI sources or agents.
FBI critics, including allies of President-elect Trump, say the report only raises more questions.
It
There were
does.
3 that were approved to be there. Why were these additional 23 there? What was their role on that day?
And them additional 23
restricted areas were
committed crimes and shit, and they didn't prosecute them for it.
has not charged those individuals whose
See?
only crime on January 6th was to enter the restricted grounds surrounding the Capitol. And
Told you, man, they didn't even prosecute them over it.
The report also
But they
criticizes
did
the
everyday
FBI
people.
for not gathering useful
Give them
intelligence.
big prison sentence,
The
bitch.
FBI did not take all the steps that it could have taken to develop as complete a picture of the January 6th threat potential. In a response, the FBI said agents will...
So what the hell is up with that? All
for
right,
the
man.
upcoming January 6, 2025 electoral certification. In Washington, David Spunt.
I mean, honestly, what is up with all that?
David, thanks so much.
There's more than that. That's what. This is what you're.
Foundation here joins us.
They were more than that.
Are you satisfied with this?
And keep in mind, they found a pipe bomb at Kamala's place too.
About the FBI's role to bed finally.
No, not at all. Not even close. This actually raises a ton more questions. So finally we know that there were paid FBI agents at the behest of the FBI on the Capitol grounds, 3 at least. There was another 23 that showed up on their own, right, which were paid FBI agents. And several of those...
Can we distinguish between an FBI agent and a confidential human source? You're saying essentially they're the same thing.
Undercover. They're undercover agents.
These are informants, right? Okay. They're paid to provide information to the FBI, right? They're not uniformed. They're not undercover FBI agents themselves. Forgive me. They are paid informants. So these paid informants, the FBI contracted for, 3 in particular were called to the Capitol grounds. And the 23 others showed up on their own. Why would they show up on their own? And allegedly broke the law and entered the Capitol themselves. So if you have paid FBI informants entering the Capitol grounds, where are those people?
See, they started all the bullshit.
January 6 people
That's the
because they did the exact same thing as these paid informants. They entered the Capitol grounds unlawfully. The FBI says they weren't authorized to do that. Where are the convictions for those folks as well? And it raises all sorts of questions. What did they actually do? Did they incite people to go in? How much were they paid? Would they be paid more if they were able to help with a conviction of somebody? All these incentives come together where you really wonder, let's show us a video, identify all these people so we know exactly what they did on January 6th and whether they instigated anybody or not.
They destroyed it.
So, Roger,
that's been the whole rot of the stink.
FBI directors said there
the
was
stink of the rot, rather. They destroyed all this.
In the crowd, these confidential human sources here. The report says this. No
fact about that. That's a fact. That's why they're all mad and stuff about it. Is that
no evidence in the materials we reviewed or the
when they had to give it up, it took them 3 years.
In the various
then when the crap was over with,
I know I'm kind of harping on the language of this, and
they destroy it.
Undercover FBI employee, is that different than a confidential human source?
It's
all of it.
And there's a distinction. However, there's a problem if you outsource your dirty work.
Every bit of it, bro. Every bit.
If you want to say, look, we actually didn't send people to do that sort of work. Sounds to be precisely what happened.
They destroyed.
The other 23 showed up, and of those 3 that were paid, at least one of them entered the Capitol, which was unlawful. So FBI paid somebody to do what exactly? Why do they think empowered that they...
I've said all along, man. And I will say there's more to it about the FBI and stuff. Now Christopher Reeves, he denies this, but he's the director.
What the FBI knew.
All this had to go through him before it took place.
With the conviction of J6 people who did the exact same thing of walking into the grounds. I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about the people who simply walked onto the grounds.
And your argument right now is that those 3 individuals on behalf of the FBI as confidential human sources who did go into the Capitol and on the Capitol grounds should be prosecuted like everyone else, like the more than 1,500 cases that have been brought.
But of course they should be prosecuted just like everybody else.
Some viewers watching are asking themselves, well, what was the FBI doing before January 6th? Why all of this activity? Because, and correct me if I'm wrong here, there were pieces of intelligence suggesting there could be violence on the electoral certification day. And that is why the FBI was involved, correct?
Well, the FBI has been looking at what they call domestic terrorists for a long time. And on that issue, they've been all over the map in terms of who they target. Where were they during Antifa rioting? Where were they during the summer of George Floyd, where the country was burning in our major cities and they were attacking federal courthouses?
The summer alive, bro. The summer alive when Antifa and BLM went out and burnt the United States down, and not one damn Democrat opened its mouth over it.
Now, I'm saying
not one.
That has violent tendencies has to be
You
prosecuted.
had Maxine Waters there. She should have been impeached and thrown from the Congress for her role in it.
Others do.
Okay, so that is a good segue into FBI Director Christopher Wray. He told employees.
I mean, in all honesty, man, of what she pulled,
in January,
she pulled some iffy, big time iffy shit. Waters did.
Independence.
She
politics here. He was in
she
year
did
7
some
of
bad
the 10-year
crap.
term. The reason these
Maxine
terms are
did.
10 years is to, thwart any political interference from outside agitators and agencies and the like here. It's well known that President-elect Donald Trump does not want Wray to serve in that position here. Even though Trump did oppose Wray after he fired Jim Comey in the first term. Why, if you were Wray, do you not just dare Trump to fire him? Does that smack of interference?
Trump will fire him.
When Wray is resigning
And Wray knows it.
already, he doesn't want to put up that fight. He doesn't want to get it in the media here. Why not just have Trump do that?
Because we'll drag it out on him.
The independence of the agency is so important.
That's why Christopher Wray is resigning.
Above the law is the question. And what does the law say in terms of the Constitution? Is who runs the Department of Justice?
That is why he is resigning. He does not want all this drug out. He does not want drug out about what he pulled in Virginia.
The raid on
He does not want drug out what they did to the parents
and said there was no authority
in Virginia.
to even pursue it.
Not just Virginia, that was meant for the whole United States. Then you had him witch hunting in the Catholic Church.
That would be so heavy-handed. And there is a Supreme District Court precedent and appellate court precedent.
Some other, you had him raiding
before their term expires. I was dismissed
a ex-president's home.
Conference of the United States before my term was up, and what's good for the goose is definitely good
when they walked up,
let's talk about the
basically had brunch with Biden and see if they could set a time they can check him out. Now, why couldn't they do Donald Trump that way?
I think he will get confirmed. He's exactly the type of person we need right now to
Kesh
clean up the
Patel.
mess in the Justice Department.
Why
It has
is that?
been,
Does he have the experience? Does he have Christopher Wray's experience?
yeah, first, he worked as a public defender. So he's been on the other side even. On
Kesh Patel.
He's been at DOJ in the National Security Division. He also worked in the National Security Division in the Office of the National Director of Intelligence. So he has all the classified information. He's worked in law enforcement. He worked at DOJ. He worked on the other side as a public defender. I mean, what more do you need? He also worked on the case that dealt with the Russia hoax that exposed the entrapment that was going on and the funny dealings at the FBI going after President Trump and his associates, the Carter Page warrant issue, the abuses that our politicized Department of Justice has done. He was one of the primary persons exposing it, which of course qualifies him to be the one to undo the sort of corruption we saw. You cannot have politicized Department of Justice. You can't have the lawfare, and you need somebody who's willing to have the integrity and the experience to clean it up. And Kesh Patel is perfectly positioned to be the man to do
I
it.
believe Kesh Patel be a good man for that position.
The January 6th, the role.
I truly do, because Kesh Patel will go into it with open eyes, and he will do what's right about
The
it.
FBI put in a better light after this report or not? Are there more questions? You're alluding to the fact there are still open questions. I mean, it's pretty.
It doesn't look good on the FBI over January 6th. It does not, man.
No, we don't know who the paid informants were. It's not definitive who was there. We know there were certain paid informers. What is their background? What are their political leanings? How much did they get paid? What is their criminal record? What is actually going on here? You cannot outsource the dirty work to a third party and then try to wash your hands. They enter.
That's basically what the FBI did on that matter. They got these paid informants to go in and start all that shit, and then it backfired on them.
Could they have done something to figure out who,
and
if anybody
people
was,
found out they were
being
paid
surveilled that
informants
could be
because when they
indicated
some of them they'd paid
unanswered questions
hundreds and thousands of dollars to that's really using an informant when you give them that much cash.
Human
But
sources who were paid by the FBI. The others came to the January 6th events of their own volition here. So I wanted just to kind of stipulate that.
While being paid by the FBI to report on these sorts of things. So.
Okay. That seems unclear, though. The 23 additional confidential human sources were in D.C. at the time. They attended January 6th events. The report says they determined that they did so on their own initiative and were not tasked by FBI field offices to attend the events there. So,
sure, it cannot be a coincidence that you had 23 people on the FBI payroll show up on January 6th.
Man, I'm not buying that out.
And at least 11 of them enter the Capitol grounds. That's about half of them allegedly broke the law. And that's a whole lot of questions. Why would so many FBI paid informants show up unless they thought there would be something in it for them that they could perhaps help the FBI in something? Those are the unknown questions that need to be answered. What did the FBI know and when did they know it?
all right, Roger Severino, as always.
Who funded the cost?
Thank you.
Who funded those additional 23's cost? I mean, really?
Joe Biden's presidency.
Who funded the cost, man?
It hasn't been a good one. The Democrats lost the White House
Stephen A. Smith
in the November election. Meanwhile, this week, FBI Director Christopher Wray announced plans to resign at the end of the Biden administration as President-elect Donald Trump takes office in January. The news comes amidst a bombshell report from the Justice Department that revealed the FBI had at least 26 confidential informants on the ground when the Capitol was stormed on January 6, 2021. The report says most of the informants engaged in illegal activity during the chaos. The Justice Department says only 3 of its 26 informants present had been instructed to observe potential domestic terrorist suspects on the day of the riot. The rest of the 23 appeared to have gone to the Capitol on their own accord. Upon hearing the news of the report, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance posted the following on X, quote, "For those keeping score at home, this was labeled a dangerous conspiracy theory months ago," end quote. So 23 folks for the FBI were in the crowd. And we're just finding that out.
No, we're not. We were told by Comer and Senator Kennedy and all these guys months back that this took place. You people are acting like you just found out about it. No.
By President Biden before her?
No, and I mean, it's not the case.
Articulated.
It's truly not. I know this back right after J6 when you had Mike Lee asked Christopher Wray's right to his face how many informants did they have, and he told him he didn't know, but there was some.
But what if I told you there's a skip ads for everybody? It's called Pi, and if that sounds familiar to you...
And they asked him why did they have him, and I told him once again, did not know. Could not comment on an ongoing investigation.
500,000 people have down...
Was his exact words.
Evidence to Donald Trump's claims when he articulated that...
I don't give a damn what people think or say about it. I just tell you the truth. I choose the truth.
What they do...
Everything Donald Trump said was the truth.
Not my big issue. My big issue.
Everything he has said about all this has been the truth.
Finding something else
that they did.
Have lied about or downplayed or misrepresented along the way.
And he said it the whole time.
$1.5 billion.
They called him liars and he fake news, misinformation, all this bullshit.
Why was Al Sharpton's National Action Network given that much money? Before interviews, by the way. Why?
You asked Al Sharpton.
$500K.
Why they give it to him?
Why? I want to be clear. I don't have any problem.
You're a Democrat, bro. At your party, you tell us why.
I have more of a
Smith. Smith's a Democrat turd. He stuck up for him all this time and shit. Now he's turning on him. He acts like all this is no news. This ain't no news.
In supporting Kamala Harris.
This is not no news whatsoever, dudes. I knowed back 2 years ago that the FBI had paid informants at January 6th. Everybody said they did. Trump said they did. They had them representing themselves as the Proud Boys and everything else.
I mean, I see Republicans.
And they're saying, why didn't you tell us this back then? People did try to tell it. It was the major news organizations kept it out of headlines and stuff. That it wasn't newsworthy, it was fake shit.
You know what I'm getting really pissed off about? I'm getting really ticked off at every time they open their mouth about something pertaining to y'all, they seem right.
It's your party, bro. It's your party.
You were Sean Hannity. How can I? Do you know what Sean Hannity used to do to me when I told him Kamala Harris had a chance? He'd laugh. Like literally, genuinely giggle.
Huh?
He'd go on TV and put on his straight face to y'all. You gotta be concerned. This election could go either way. He laughed. He wasn't concerned about her.
I know nobody was, bro. Everybody thought that was a joke.
Before I called out Biden.
To be honest, everybody felt the same way when Biden won in 2020. Everybody saying that is a joke, man. There's no way.
Joe Biden.
This time of year, it was too big to rig.
Napping at an African summit in Angola.
Huh?
For at least a full minute. They didn't say whether he was snoring or not. That's about all that was missing. But he was clearly asleep. I'm not going to pardon my son.
No,
I want
bro.
to say for the record, I have no problem with him pardoning
I've not got a thing wrong with him pardoning Hunter Biden, bro. Ain't got a bad thing to say about him about it.
Because they wanted to get to me. All you had to say was, I'm pardoning my son because he's my son. You couldn't
exactly. It was young, just couldn't handle it.
Telling us it was the last thing that you were.
Everybody know that. I said back when he first got in all that trouble, Biden pardoned him. Biden waited to see if he was going to be president again to decide which way he was going to go about it. I believe the only way he wouldn't have parted in him would have been if he would have won the presidency. Then no, he wouldn't have, because they went after him and impeached him for doing it, and he knowed it. So
we can argue policies. We can argue
I
politics.
said that's from the start. Go back to some of my videos, me talking about politics, and you will see that I said from the start that Biden would
that the right had a monopoly.
That he would do that because
evil tendencies, corrupt tendencies.
That boy knows more shit on him than you. Barack Obama does as well. Hey, man. Do you really think Barack Obama was sitting U.S. president, was the sitting commander-in-chief, and he did not know that his VP
I don't know about y'all, but I'm sick of all of it.
was making deals in other countries? Do you really think that Biden did not know this?
Looked like he was right.
He was right, bro. Trump was right the whole damn 9 yards of it, whether you want to admit it or not.
He didn't just get to raise his fist on election night.
He raised that fist, bro,
every night ever since for one different issue.
When the Democrat Party, and you heard me say it, I don't care to say it, I'll say it. Because at the end of the day, We are going to find out who paid to have that pot shot took at him.
Emirates Cup semifinals in the National Basketball Association.
And I honestly, totally, to the deepness of my heart, believe that at the end of the day, the Democrat Party paid to have Donald Trump assassinated. Flat up.
Meet the Ninja Turtles in Hero Wars.
What?
The legendary RPG Hero Wars.
Straight up deal, bruh. They paid for that, as well as I'm sitting here talking to you guys like I am. They paid for it. They wanted Mr. Trump dead. Just because of shit like it's right here, dudes. Just because of this. Why? I tell you why. Why was Ben? Because he was going to come into office, and all the paperwork and the people that did it be there. Why do you think that they want him to get all these mass pardons and shit out, dude? Because let's just crack him. Let's crack that one. Well, don't fire a shot yet, dude. There we go, let's sink him. That's why, dude. It truly is. You dudes, if you can't see it for what it is, I'm so sorry that you're blind. But end of the day, and the truth will stand when the world is burnt and gone. They have had a wildfire out for him for 4 years, man. This poor man, hey, like he said, and the truth about it, look at the bigger of the situation. If they would do him that way, what would ever stop him from doing you and I that way? Nothing would. That's what would. We would be just whatever they want to do to us. That's the facts about it. Trump said the whole time that what they were doing, they said, nope, wish your name was Donald J. Trump. You had nothing to worry about. The state of New York did. But then they went after the meat company, what was their names? I forget their names. This Brazilian company. They went after those guys, knowing damn good and well that they had done nothing wrong. Was trying to future sue them, saying, well, they said that it wasn't going to be, but here it is. It's going to be. And yeah. End of the day, buddy. Bullseye. And these guys, man, it's nothing but the truth about it. And they're catching them up in it, man. Now's where shit really gets good, dudes, in all honesty, because we're going to get to be able to see them, bring them out, flush them out of that swamp. Because he's got the doors to he's got the keys to the swamp now, and that's why you're getting Cash Patel, Pam Bondi, and these people that he knows will do right, and that will try to do the right thing with this. I cannot believe that Bill Barr sat on that laptop as long as he did and did not do anything with it that he should have done, you know. Think about it, man. He had that laptop before the presidential election for a year or maybe longer before the presidential election. And what's he do with it? Not a damn thing. I do not believe. That is just amazing to me that he honestly did that. That Bill Barr sat on that damn thing, knowing good and well that would not just influence the presidential election, that there were a lot of crime that needed to be answered for. And what's he do? He lets them call it disinformation, a Russian hoax, all kinds of shit, and turns right around and decides that he's going to let Trump leave office and never mention it or do anything about it. Now shit, dudes, I'm sorry, but there has to be right and wrong here, and let me take his sweatshirt off here, bros. I'm burning up. We can't let this go on, dudes. I mean, all honesty, they're holding almost $1 billion, $500 million that belongs to him. And why? For some business trades he did back 20 years ago and longer, and you know, man, the biggest ones of them, and that'd be the one with Anita James, the biggest one of them, they should have never been in. Now you have the appellate court saying you should have never been in this. Why did you do this? You acted way beyond your reach. That law wasn't intended for you to that broad of aspect to it. And these guys are saying she run on the premise that she would jail Donald Trump. She run on that premise that she would jail Donald Trump. I mean, And like I said, now the appellate courts are saying no. How did this go through a court of law and ever make it? And it does make you wonder that this goes through a court, and they what in the hell of a did? Son of a bitch. Hang on, dudes. Alright, bro, sorry about that. I've lost that damn thing again already. But, I mean, really, you got the appellate court saying it should have never even been thought of. What are they doing? You have the, this judge just bluntly breaks the law and does it. We got judges that are doing it of their own accord, taking people to court when they know they shouldn't, and they're doing it anyway. And that shouldn't be worrisome. Just give me a second here, bros. One moment. Trump sued CNN and won when old Tapper, or was it, what was his name, kept saying that Trump raped Eugene Carroll when he didn't. That's not what he was convicted of, and he should have never been convicted. He shouldn't have. I mean, let me look and see if we can't find. I'll let you hear her for herself. So I can't. Hang on, bros. Now listen, it's hard to believe some of the shit she says.
I could not bring this in front of the jury. They would not let me bring.
Just look at her hair before it even plays. That's a crazy person hair.
By the
She's
way,
crazy.
Even Anderson Cooper couldn't believe what she just said.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rob.
I was not thrown on the ground and ravished, which the word rape carries so many sexual connotations. This was not sexual. It hurt. It just, you know.
Well, I think most people think of it it is a violent assault. It is not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
No, watch
She's
it.
crazy, man.
We're going to take a quick break.
This kills me.
This makes.
I could not bring this in front of the jury.
She is, she's not right in the head, bros. I mean, she really isn't. Norwegian girl isn't. I never, How about it? Never heard this one.
The outlet that first broke the E. Jean Carroll story. Rebecca Traister, welcome back to the program. You have also written about the consequence of this case. So let me just ask you, beyond politics, what is your reaction to this result?
Well, it's one of those moments where the sort of historic view of how long this kind of progress takes to make really comes into view. Because, you know, we go back to the Access Hollywood tape where Trump was caught in weeks before the 2016 election bragging about grabbing women against their will and how when you're a celebrity they'll let you do it. And there was a lot of thought then, some Republicans distanced themselves from him. There was this thought that that might be an end to his presidential prospects. Other women, including two who testified corroborating E. Jean Kelly in this trial, came forward with their stories in the New York Times and elsewhere. And yet he was elected president, and there was this sense of defeat. And it was a real defeat with incredibly important political consequences. And yet that wasn't the end of the story. When it came to this question of legal, political, social, civic consequence for sexual assault, for alleged sexual assault and harassment. You know, in part, the fury at his election, despite those admissions and charges, resulted in the Women's March, which produced a whole wave of political activism. A year later, there was the hashtag #MeToo movement, which was sort of kicked off in that iteration by reporting on the sexual predation of Harvey Weinstein. It was in 2019 that E. Jean Carroll first told her story of having been assaulted in the Berkeley men's dressing room. And now, then there was the creation of a special window in which those like E. Jean Carroll, for whom the statute of limitations had passed for criminal charges, could file a civil case, which is what she did here. And now in 2023, it's the first instance of Trump being held legally accountable. And I think that's an incredible story about how arduous, sinuous, and how long these things sometimes take.
So she referred to that new law in New York, which was passed not so long ago, to enable her to bring this civil suit. What do you think that will do in general? How do people know that they have that time? Because it's very important. She said this is a victory for all those women who, like my generation, were the silent generation. Talk about the silent generation.
Well, you know, E. Jean Carroll says during her testimony, I was born in 1943. Significant changes to law around both sexual assault and sexual harassment and the state's responsibility, the relationship of women and men to the state in terms of protection against sexual harassment and sexual assault. Those laws didn't really start changing till the 70s. So part of what E. Jean Carroll is describing is a lifetime in the United States in which she came of age before laws had really even been reformed or revised to better protect or punish those who'd committed sexual assault or harassment. So she came of age in an era before any of those legal changes had been made, and now she's living in this moment as a 79-year-old, almost 80-year-old woman, to see her story being taken as seriously as in fact, more seriously than the word of a former president of the United States. And so
nobody took her seriously, but
silent generation was a generation where there was no confidence that raising your voice and
to be honest, it was all thought of what it was.
Harassed by a powerful figure, you know, the sense that that would end badly for you. And that was a sense that persisted for her up until the 90s when this assault took place. And a friend advised her, don't come forward and tell the story about this powerful man. At the time, Donald Trump was a powerful businessman, a celebrity in New York City. He'll bury you. And she didn't. So that's what she means by the silent generation, part of an era in which there was absolutely no confidence that telling your story would end well for you. And that lack of confidence has persisted, and this is an incredible instance in which the story, she told the story in a memoir, she told the story in court, she spoke several times during her testimony of how happy she was to get her day in court, and then the jury found in her favor. It is a remarkable story of a lifetime in which so many of these assumptions and laws have been changed.
And of course, it will have a lasting impact and ramifications for many, many victims that fit her profile. But especially, she said, and she said it, earlier today in her media rounds, that she's also changed the general perception of the victim. Let's just listen to how she described it.
The old view of what the perfect victim looks like totally changed. The old view of the perfect victim was a woman who always screamed, a woman who immediately reported, a woman whose life is supposed to fold up and she's never supposed to experience happiness again. That was just shut down with this verdict. The death of the perfect victim has happened.
I mean, that is actually a remarkable statement. And again, you've written a lot about this, about the whole Me Too movement. Would you agree with that the profile, the death of the perfect victim, so-called, has ended now?
I think that this was a real blow to the very narrow version of what a perfect victim might be. I think it probably, I'd love to say that it's the death of the perfect victim stereotype, but those kinds of assumptions persist, well beyond their sell-by date. But yes, she did do tremendous damage to this notion that in order to be believed, you had to be entirely shaped and marked by your experience of assault or trauma, and that anything that was more complex, more fundamentally human than that, invalidated your story. And here was this woman who was simultaneously a lot of things: brash, confident, a professional who did not initially tell her story, who did not scream, who also expressed in her testimony, described her trauma, not being able to be in a relationship after her experience with Donald Trump, who talked about all kinds of messy and contradictory things and was believed because messy and contradictory is part of being a full human, and part of the fight for gender equality is to establish that people who are not just white men are also fully human and therefore complicated, messy, and full of contradictions.
And I do want to put this because you...
Yeah, lost total interest in that bullshit, bro. I can tell you that. I mean, no, honestly. Otis out there. Let's see what we got going on here with them. There's Snopolopolis. ABC is to pay $15 million to settle Trump defamation. Yeah. Listen to this. I've seen that yesterday on that one. It's
less worry.
yeah, that's what happens when you lie on people. And it was right over Eugene Carroll.
In here on this Saturday, you're taking a live look there at the White House. This is the place, of course, we know that President-elect Donald Trump will be moving into in just about a month or so. But big news coming from ABC. They will now have to pay $15 million to settle a defamation lawsuit with President-elect Trump. So this all they will be paying this money to the presidential library. This is all over a lawsuit that Trump filed against anchor George Stephanopoulos. It was over his inaccurate on-air reporting that the president-elect had been found guilty of, and found civilly liable, for raping writer E. Jean Carroll. So according to settlement documents that were made public today, ABC will also have to post a note on its website expressing regret over the claim in a March 10th segment that happened on Stephanopoulos' program this week, and pay $1 million in legal fees to Trump's lawyers as well. So as we're taking a look at some of this video here, we do know that in a statement, ABC News has now said, "We are pleased that the parties have reached an agreement to dismiss the lawsuit on the terms in the court filing." So Trump did sue Stephanopoulos and ABC for defamation. This was just days after the anchor claimed that during an interview with Representative Nancy Mace, she's a Republican from South Carolina, that Trump had been found liable for rape, which is a mistale of the verdicts in Carroll's 2 lawsuits against him. Just to be clear, we do know that last year, Trump was found liable for sexually assaulting and defaming Carroll and was ordered to pay her $5 million. In January, though, he was also found liable on additional defamation claims and ordered to pay Carroll $83.3 million. Trump, though, is appealing both verdicts at this time. But it is important to note here what the big deal is. Neither of those verdicts involved a finding of rape as it is defined specifically under New York law. So we did want to get that in here for you on Live Now from Fox. Just a little bit more detail, though. Judges in both cases, of course, these E. Jean Carroll cases, in the jury's conclusion that Carroll had failed to prove that Trump raped her within the narrow technical meaning of that particular section of the New York penal law. They also noticed, the judge, that rape was also far narrower than how rape is defined in the common modern place, how folks talk about it in some dictionaries and in federal and state criminal statutes in other states. So we did want to get that story in for you here on Live Now from Fox. We're going to step away now for a 2-minute break. Stay right here with us.
I would say so Snopolopolis, her costed him quite hefty over his little accusations. I'm thinking of listen to this. This is about Attorney General Bragg.
It's absolutely insane. Look at the presentation on what's inside this can.
Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg has filed a brief asking the judge in Bragg's case against incoming President Trump not to drop the case. Trump's attorneys, as you know, just last week, exactly 1 week ago today, were arguing that Trump has presidential immunity and other constitutional protections. Bragg's team wants Trump to be sentenced after a jury found him guilty of falsifying business records. Here's a quote: "The extreme remedy of dismissing the indictment and vacating the jury verdict is not warranted in light of multiple alternative accommodations that would fully address the concerns raised by presidential immunity." One legal correspondent put it this way:
It's not a surprise the Manhattan DA's office is refusing to dismiss the case. But what is a surprise in these filings today is that in over 80 pages, they are telling Judge Merchan, look, the preservation of our verdict is important. It shows you just how far they've gone in an attempt to preserve this jury verdict, which they think is fundamental to the constitutional value of the jury process.
In focus now, Alina Habba, incoming White House counselor to President-elect Trump and his former attorney. Alina, is this good news for the former president that this push is coming on? I mean, how do you see it?
I think that Alvin Bragg is so self-interested and his team that he is failing the American people, and what America needs right now is unity. This case should have been dismissed. It never should have been brought in the first place. It was past statute of limitations. Nothing ever happened. The president did nothing wrong. And the evidence that was presented was clearly outside of the perimeters of anything that should have been considered, as he was president of the United States, not even at the Trump Organization during the time period they were questioning. Immunity decisions have come down, have made clear that he has immunity, but DA Bragg, unlike Jack Smith, just won't quit. Meanwhile, they haven't extradited Penny, as you said, excuse me, not Penny, but they haven't extradited the gentleman from Altoona who has just shot and killed somebody on the streets of New York yet. You know, this is the hypocrisy that has destroyed America and is the reason 77 million people voted for President Trump to be president again.
Yeah, you know, and the way that I put it like that is because Bragg just came off a pretty bruising loss with Daniel Penny. I mean, in that case, again, that never should have been brought. You had someone who was a Marine vet on the subway, a hero to the people inside that car down beneath, and Penny rescued them and put down a man who was threatening them inside that car. I mean, I would think watching Bragg get this thirsty might be good news, because he's going to make mistakes.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And more importantly, I mean, where is your dignity? And this goes for Fannie as well. Where is your dignity? How do you want to be remembered in history? And that's my question I would pose to them, because we will not allow this to continue. I most certainly will not. It is unacceptable. It is hurting the American people and the constituents in the state of New York that have elected him and had him come in. And Alvin Bragg has literally ignored the needs of New Yorkers. He is soft on crime for people that are actually committing crime, and he is then persecuting and prosecuting people like Penny and Donald Trump, who are here to help America and to help real Americans. It's a disgrace. He should be ashamed of himself, and 80-something pages of taxpayer dollars wasted on that motion.
Wow.
When all he should have done was step down and said, we're going to dismiss this case. It never should have happened in the first place.
Yeah, surprised he could get that work done, because he was too busy losing that also very high-profile and important case that never should have been brought against Daniel Penny. It's interesting that you also put those two people together. Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney Fani Willis in the same sentence as Alvin Bragg. I can see how you get there. They're both so much in a drought for any sort of way to go after Trump. Well, this is the latest. Willis has refused a judge's order now to hand over any communications that were with special counsel Jack Smith and the House January 6th committee. Willis is prosecuting President-elect Trump's 2020 election interference case in Georgia. Now, she denies ever talking to Jack Smith about the case and says there are no records to hand over. Willis also claimed there are legal exemptions to justify withholding communications with the January 6th committee. A new piece argues this. Willis's refusal to hand over records suggests she is willing to clash with her critics on yet another front, even as she faces the possibility of disqualification from her own case. Jonathan Turley had something to say about this, about Trump's team asking a Georgia appeals court to throw out the case. Let's watch that.
This entire case is leaking like a sieve, and it always has, because it was based on, in my view, a ridiculous RICO theory to get to the president. On top of that, you have Willis's own conduct and whether she should be removed from the case.
Yeah,
so it's a big debate as to what will bring this case down. I just can't see, even if she was able to secure a conviction, that she would be able to sustain it on appeal.
She could.
Alina, the way I read this is she's kind of stuck in a sticky wicket, because if she turns over records, then that will cause people to think that there was some sort of conspiracy between her and Jack Smith against Donald Trump.
Say it ain't so. You can't imagine that would be happening, could you? Listen, the truth is this. We
Let's
know
say
that
it
we've
ain't
seen White House records that show that a lot of these DAs and AGs were visiting the White House and coordinating with not only outside sources like Jack Smith, but also the White House administration. Unacceptable. That's political motivation. That's selective prosecution. Those are things that are unconstitutional. We do not do them in this country. My message is the same for Fanny. Do the right thing. You've embarrassed yourself enough. This case was a joke. It's a hoax. And we really need the American people to have what little faith they have restored in our justice system. And that starts with all of these hoaxes being dropped and them saying we respect the rule of law. We understand the presidency. We understand that maybe we were a little sideways, but now we're going to do the right thing for America, not for President Trump.
Elena Hava, congratulations on the incoming position. Great to have you on the program today. Thank you.
I figured he'd have Elena Hava on his
and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany
on his staff. He is not dumb this time around. He's surrounded himself with some very intelligent people, and he should.
He's been the only Democrat that's willing to work with this administration as a mayor. Chicago resisting, LA resisting, and it looks like Tom Homan has accepted the invitation from Mayor Adams to have a meeting today to talk about what they're going to do once he takes office.
Right. We're not asking for a lot.
No.
We're asking for access to criminals.
That's right.
And the detainers honored. Give ICE a chance. By the way, I thought it was a great, Robert Holden, a Democrat from Queens, said if you want to show that, Mayor Adams, talk is great, but if you want to show that you're sincere, set up the ICE office at Rikers again. Because they closed it down because they don't want to let
He's also
those
considering, Eric Adams is also considering getting rid of the sanctuary city status.
That's right.
So Tom Homan pictured right there is going to be meeting with the mayor of New York. It's interesting. On Monday night, Tom Homan was at an event, and he revealed, we know that the deportation plan, on a wide scale, you know what American city they're going to start in? They're going to start in Chicago. He was a guest Monday night at a holiday party for Law and Order PAC. This is one of the quotes, according to CBS in Chicago. Tom Homan said, Chicago's in trouble because your mayor sucks and your governor sucks. And so he said it's going to start in Chicago right after the inauguration. And Homan asked the Mayor Johnson, and Governor Pritzker to come to the table and help with the biggest deportation in history. And here's the other quote. He said, if your mayor doesn't want to help, he can step aside. There's Johnson right there. But if he impedes us, Tom Homan said, if he knowingly harbors or conceals an illegal alien, I will prosecute him. So that's new. Now Tom Homan is suggesting if these people in the sanctuary city do impede the federal government, he's going to press charges.
Well, you can't harbor felons.
No!
You can't. There's already a federal statute. And that's all they're saying right now is that when we come to pick them up, they're already in custody, right, or they're already in a certain community. The residents are upset. Just let us just get out of the way.
Proof in the residents. Listen to them speaking out against their mayor. Watch.
Mayor Brandon Johnson, you took an oath to uphold the Constitution. Or when you took an oath, was it only intended to fight for the 10th and 14th Amendments regarding illegal aliens?
We don't want illegals in our community. We don't want migrants terrorizing our own people. And to have y'all sit up here and say, we have to accept $70 million being given to them when you got black people who are already struggling and need help, it is a disgrace.